Welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm gonna talk about dental school interview, and if you got one already, congratulations. That means you did something good. That means that you work on your personal statement and it was strong enough so you can get an invitation. You definitely stand out somehow. You already passed your dental boards. You have a very high score in TOEFL, because as you guys know, out there the competition is really strong. So yay! So once you get your invitation for school, usually you will have 2 to 3 weeks to kind of like prepare, buy your ticket plane, I don't know, make a reservation through a hotel or Airbnb, I don't know. Dentist graduated in 2016 in Peru, and it's been quite a long journey just to pass the dental boards, applying through CAPIT, looking for schools, and in my time I didn't have a lot of help on YouTube or on Facebook. I wish I could have more guidance through it, but most of the guidance they will charge us. So I decided to share my experience so it kind of help you. And again, you guys can get a different experience. It might not be the same. Maybe you're going through a different school, who knows? But I hope that my experience will help you somehow in some shape or form, right? So let's start. I applied to 3 schools through CAPIT once I passed my dental boards, passed my TOEFL, and got a very decent score through TOEFL, and did my work on my personal statement, and then once I was ready, I just applied to 3 schools, which I kind of find myself going to and be happy, because of course before you apply you have to do your research, because every school that you apply, it's a lot of money and time and effort. So you don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to apply to every school that I can. Unless you have the money and time, then good for you. But regardless, once I got my invitation for school, I had like 2 to 3 weeks to get ready, buy the ticket planes, book the hotel or Airbnb or whatever you want to do. And definitely I got ready for my interview beforehand, because you don't want to wait till the last minute. I did my own research. I wrote, a bunch of questions, templates, and just write down the answer and just practice. So how was my experience? I will start that before the interview, I definitely went through my CAPIT application. I printed out the form as well as my personal statement. That's very important, because the personal statement tells the story about you. How was your story? How was your experience? How you ended up on the path of dentistry, stuff like that. So I read it like 2-3 times, and I also had 2 copies of it just in case, because you never know. So once I started having all the documents ready, I start with the questions. So for me, for every interview, regardless if it is for work or school, I think there's 2 very important golden questions that I call it, which is number 1, which is always at the beginning, and most of them they're gonna say, tell me about yourself. And the second question is usually at the end of the interview, which is, do you have any questions for me? You don't want to say no, because that means that you didn't do your research, or you just simply don't care enough, because if you're very interested on the program or of the university, you're gonna have questions, because we don't know everything, right? So let's start. Definitely once they call your name, they say Carmen, and I was like, of course, everybody says don't be nervous, but you're gonna be nervous. That's something natural, and just try to be confident, be yourself, be happy, smile. And in the waiting time, on the waiting room or wherever you guys are gonna be, you're not gonna be by yourself. You're gonna have another people that are gonna have the interview as well. So just establish a conversation, like try to warm up, practice like, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Stuff like that, smile. Because people, they're gonna look even before the interview starts. They wanna see that you have strong interpersonal skills, which means that you can communicate easily with other people, that you are confident, confident of yourself, make eye contact, and if you shake a hand, be firm, don't be like shaky or wobbly. No, this is the time that you have to be very confident of yourself, be secure, and trust yourself, because if you don't do it, nobody's gonna trust you. So once they call your name, you know, that's the big time, it's the big time. Just say, hey, nice meeting you, my name is Carmen, blah, 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 give them a handshake, be firm on it, and then just sit down, whatever they say, right? And they're gonna, and my interview was very easygoing. It was just like a normal conversation, it was very fluent. I had the luck that my interviewer was a lady, was a doctor. She was back in her time, she was an international dentist as well, and she was from India. So she went through the same process, and now she's already graduated. She's a doctor in the United States, and she works at the school as well as a teacher, which is very cool. She was very nice, so she said, hey Carmen, so tell me about yourself. And so I proceed with my answer, right? Who I was, what are my passions, because again, the question, tell me about yourself, you cannot just emphasize on you as a dental student. No, I want you to like talk about you as a whole human, as a whole package, because you're not defined just by your profession, which is dental school. No, it's talk about your passions. What do you like to do in your free time? What do you like to listen to music, or what is your passion? What do you like to do other than study? You know, what drives you into your happy life, stuff like that. She also asked me, so Carmen, why did you choose this school? So I went on and on after my research. She asked me, why you choose this school? How are you planning to pay for the tuition? Because again, tuition in dental school is pretty expensive. It's not cheapy. So I was totally honest, and I said, hey, my plan is definitely take student loans through the government, and I've been working, so I saved a little bit of money where I can help myself through the expenses for school, as well as my parents are willing to help me, and as well as my husband, my family. I do definitely have the support from them, which I'm very grateful. And then she proceeded asking me, so Carmen, how many schools have you applied so far? And I was, of course, honest, because they already know, they can see your application through Capit and how many schools you apply, how many times, and stuff like that. And so you want to be very, let's put it that word, picky, when you are looking and research for your school, like which school do you want to apply and how many. There's no correct number, but you know, if you apply to many more schools, it means that you are not targeting at one school, you know. So I only applied to 3 schools, which I was seeing myself like, okay, I see myself on their mission. I will feel comfortable. I think I will be comfortable going through this school. So I went through and just did it. I applied to 3 schools. I told her the truth, and she was like, oh, okay. And I told her, hey, this is my first interview that I got, and this is my actually first choice, and I would love to be accepted and have the opportunity to study here. So she was like, yeah, definitely. And she proceeded to ask me, what was the latest challenge in my life that I had? And again, this interview, do not just brag about yourself or just talk about dental school, like dental school is your passion, blah, 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 blah. but like sell yourself as a whole package, as a whole student, that you have hobbies, you have passion, you have a life outside of school and just your job, because that's what life it is. So I told her, I talked about my honeymoon, which they asked me what was my biggest challenge, and that was in my honeymoon actually, because with my husband, once we got married, we went hiking in Yosemite National Park, which is kind of like a very steep and hard hiking. It's not like you just walk. You have to hike all the way up. You have to go through mountains and waterfalls and rocks, and it was slippery rocks because at the time we went there it was raining a little bit, and to get to the top of Half Dome in Yosemite, it was very hard. I blocked myself. I was so scared to death that I hold myself into a rock because I thought I was gonna sleep and die. And those are the little stuff that it was very challenging. But luckily I have my husband who said, you know, Carmen, you got this, you're very strong, just do it. And you know, it's not a big of a deal. And you know, I faced my fear and I did it. And once I was done, I was very happy and stuff like that. Just make a conversation fluent, and you know, like you can ask questions. That's okay, that's totally fine. What other questions? Let's see. They can ask, what are your plans after graduation? What book have you read recently? I didn't personally get this question, but I know one of my classmates got it. So it really depends who is interviewing you. So you just might as well practice for as many questions as you can. Let's see. At the end, as I said, they're gonna say, do you have any questions for me? What else? Let's see. Before the interview, you wanna practice. Write it down, all your answers in a paper, and just practice. And if you have somebody where you can practice, much better. But if you don't have a person right away, that's okay, there's no problem. Practice in front of a mirror or practice in front of a camera. Videotape yourself so you can see from a different perspective. Let's see, what else? Be early, get there early to your interview time or appointment. Definitely dress professionally, be clean, definitely. Just be yourself, you know. I will say, don't be nervous, you're gonna be. Just try to manage as much as you can. And that's it for today. I hope you find it very helpful, this video. If you really liked it, please like and subscribe, because I will be making more videos about my experience. And well, right now I am in this little corner of my house, and it is because on the other side of it, it's very messy. We have tons of boxes, and it's actually because we're ready to move out of Florida.